Today on Ian vs. Daddy Bones, we're making up for a shitty yesterday and opening up some Spider-Man toys. Welcome back! It's another exciting episode of Ian vs. Daddy Bones. I am Ian Daddy Bones. I'd like to welcome everybody to the show. If you're watching on YouTube and Facebook right now, hey everybody, what's going on? Smash that fucking share button and do me a solid. We have a special high five and a knuck tap to all the Patreon subscribers, throwing me $3 a month, supporting the brand, getting access to bonus videos, bonus content. You get access to the Original Geeks podcast, and I throw your name in the credits as my way of saying thank you for supporting the brand. And today on the show, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit the do-over button. Because yesterday I tried doing an episode of Ian vs. Daddy Bones, and I don't understand how the hell this happened. Well, I know how it happened. Yesterday, Monday, after coming off a WrestleMania 40 weekend, watching WrestleMania on Saturday night 1, watching WrestleMania night 2, watching Cody Rhodes finish his story and dethrone Roman Reigns as the WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, and that was absolutely amazing to see. I got up for work to go to work yesterday, and I usually try to do my recording for this week's content, or at least get started recording the week's content on Mondays when I get out of work. I stop over at my mother-in-law's palatial palace where I record the show, but before I leave my house, I usually grab what I'm going to be talking about, throw it in the car, make sure I have my memory card and my little memory card reader, because I got my little my new laptop doesn't have an SD card slot like the last laptop. My Chromebook does, but the Hewlett Packard editing machine does not have a big memory card reader. It has the micro SD card, but it doesn't have the full size SD. So I had to get the little USB adapter that plugs into my laptop so I can put my memory card in that when I transfer all the data over to edit the fucking show. So I thought I grabbed everything that I needed, hopped in the car, went to work, banged out my shift, came here, set up, got my table all dressed, got the lights set up and everything ready to do the show, and then I started checking my pockets like, where the fuck's the memory card in? I got a zipper pocket on my jacket I usually keep it in to keep it safe and whatnot, so when I know I have it, that's where it always is, and it wasn't in its safe location, so I'm like, shit, did I put it in the car? Because sometimes I'll keep it in the jacket, and if I don't keep it in the jacket, even though I said I always keep it in the jacket, sometimes that's a fucking lie. Because when I'm trying to transfer it, sometimes I'll make sure it's in the car. So if it's not in my zipper pocket on my jacket when I need it, then it has to be in the center console underneath the car radio in the car where the change is and shit like that. But when I was feeling around for it yesterday, I didn't feel it. My fingers weren't sensing that it was near the leftover change and the cigarette lighter and the Bic lighter and the fucking, I have like one of those rechargeable battery packs, so if my phone dies and I don't have anywhere to charge it, I can plug it in the battery pack. So the memory card wasn't there in the car. So I was all set up to do the show, and I was going to open up the Marvel Legends Alfred Molina Doc Ock, and I was going to open up the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and like I said on the video yesterday, because the final solution was I wound up going live on Facebook for the purpose of opening those yesterday. So that way I could at least get some content out. And give y'all something fresh to watch, even though I was kind of nervous the entire time. Because, like, right now I'm editing the show and recording it, but I got post-production after the fact when I'm getting the show ready to put on YouTube and whatnot. So I'm live for the purpose of me filming the show right now. I'm live to myself in a room, but I'm not live on Facebook in front of the world. So if I fuck up or knock over my coffee, then I could take care of it and fix it, even though that was a dumb thing to say, because spilling my coffee would make a much bigger mess right now to clean up than I'm implying that it would. But basically, I went live on Facebook yesterday for like 30 minutes, talked about these figures, opened them up, and when I got to work today, my vape fell out of my pocket, my disposable vape. So I had to check between my car seats to make sure that the vape was there. So I managed to find the vape, and since I had the flashlight on my phone, I decided to like have a really good, like, get a good look up in that freaking center console cubby area. And for some reason, in the far back, like, it got pushed up on its side and against the wall of the cubby space, sure enough, was my memory card adapter with the memory card that I thought I left at home yesterday that was here the entire fucking time in the car. It just got bumped it probably got bumped when I was looking for it the first time, and because of the way it was wedged in the back, it got pushed up on its side. So, long story short, I'm recording the show right now. So, to make up for a whack shitty yesterday, because I find out that going live on Facebook, which I never do, those videos are only going to be around for 30 days. So yesterday's video is only going to be around for a month. Do me a solid before that shit disappears. If you see my Ian Daddy Bones was live, click that video for me. I could really use the clicks before the video disappears in the month. It'll really help me grow. And that's the thing. I'm on a mission like hell right now to boost my numbers, to boost my support for the show, get everything cranked the fuck up. Now, the thing is, I'm leveling up with Ian versus Daddy Bones every week. My numbers are getting better. My Facebook Reels are getting seen more. My TikToks are getting seen more. And, you know, for being a one-man band doing this production on this show, I really have only so much time in the day that I can dedicate to Ian versus Daddy Bones. When I have to fit time for my 9 to 5, I have to fit time into being a dad and a husband and having my family stuff. So it's like a constant, when can I focus on Ian versus Daddy Bones? So I'm always grinding this fucking show. Alright, I had to fix that and set up Dr. Octopus. But basically, I went live, I decided to open up the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the Dr. Octopus figure, and I spoke about, you know, looking back, like, I'm a big fan of Spider-Man. Spider-Man has always been my favorite Marvel superhero. Like, he was my gateway superhero, even though I knew who Thor and Captain America, and you know what I mean? Because when I was a kid and I got my first and only Spider-Man figure as a little boy, it was the Marvel Secret Wars Spider-Man, and I thought that was such an amazing action figure. Like, I absolutely loved Spider-Man, the look of the character, the design of the costume, the red and the blue, you know, the white on the eyes, the spider web pattern on his outfit. You know, Spider-Man was absolutely amazing to me. And no pun intended. But, you know, I remember the Spider-Man Secret Wars figure. You had Spider-Man and his amazing friends. And going into the 90s, like, we had the Fox Spider-Man cartoon. But when they had the Fox Kids animated, you know, the Spider-Man cartoon, you know, that Spider-Man cartoon came out right after the popularity of the original X-Men cartoon. And, you know, it was a really big deal. And for, like, the toy company, Toy Biz, like, they had the Marvel license at the time. So Toy Biz was able to put out figures, and you had the Spider-Man animated series figures, and everything was based on that cartoon. But at the time when that series came out, I was in, I don't know, it's weird. Like, in the 80s, early 90s, they called it junior high, but for some reason it started turning into just being middle school. And I wanna say the term junior high is kind of phased out. It's just elementary school, middle school, high school. Totally get it. But I was in junior high, I was in middle school when the Spider-Man cartoon came out. I was in that phase of my life where I wanted to play with action figures still and collect action figures, but like my mom and my stepdad and even my dad and my stepmom would start giving me well, you can't play with toys forever, why don't you grow up, and shit like that. And that's basically when I was cutting the playing with toys out of my life and replacing that with playing video games. So it's like, well, I was aware of the Spider-Man cartoon's existence. I watched the Spider-Man cartoon. I never got a chance to jump on the toys, even though at that time in my life, I've always been at a point in my life, no matter when I'm in, what store I'm in, I always try to take a trip down the toy aisle. You know what I mean? That part of being excited about walking through the toy aisle never left me. And I remember in high school when me and my buddies would like walk to the mall, and we'd be hanging out at the mall, and I remember we'd always just window shop and walk around KB Toys, because I remember looking at the Marvel figures, looking at the WWE, the Jakks Pacific figures when they came out, and especially like when the Power Rangers stuff was hitting the stores, and even like when I was going to KB Toys, like seeing if they got any new Nintendo 64 games in at the time. So like 94, 95, 96, I definitely have memories of seeing like those Spider-Man toys on the shelves, and the quality always looked good, but at the same time the quality always looked like it was still a toy, because even at that time it wasn't much of a like collector grade toys. It was still toys to buy for children to play with, and I'm sure there were collectors at that time, but it wasn't as big then as it is right now. And it's amazing seeing how the quality of these figures have gotten better over time. Because like, I never got a chance to capitalize on the Spider-Man animated series figures, but fast forward a couple of years when I'm 20, 21 years old, and my oldest daughter Julia, who's 23, when I was dating my daughter's mother and she was pregnant with Julia, she was working at an Ames department store. Ames was kind of like a Kmart. It was kind of, I don't want to compare it to Walmart, but it was like much on a like, I don't want to say lower quality, but it was like a smaller chain, but it was a department store. And when Amanda was working at Ames, I remember like I would meet her like on her lunch break, or when she was getting out of work, I'd meet her at work. And so there were times where I'd walk around the store and just like old times, just walk through the toy aisle and window shop. And it's funny because I remember during that period in Ames was when in the year 2000, when I was like checking out Sega Dreamcast games at this Ames, I remember back in 2000, they had like these collector boxes that had reproduction Masters of the Universe figures, and I remember being so blown away that they had these He-Man collector figures back in 2000, and that was at a time in my life where I was not able to even capitalize on being able to afford this stuff right now, because that was right at a time in my life when I had to sacrifice something because I had more important things to take care of, like this baby that's about to come into the world. So it's like, I'll always It's one thing now with everything going on with Masters of the Universe Origins, Masterverse, the WWE Elites, and even now these Marvel Legends, like, all this shit is tying into like my childhood through my teen years and even through my 20s, because after I take a quick break and get into it, I'm going to talk about how these live-action Spider-Man movies, I fantasized about them as a kid, but then they became a reality once I became a father, and they became something that I've gotten to enjoy and share with my own children. Alright, we're back. Real quick, give everybody a heads up, because originally this week's episode was just going to be Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Alfred Molina Doc Ock, and then next week I was planning on doing Tom Holland and Willem Dafoe Green Goblin's figure, but I'm going to be opening these guys in a moment after I talk about these guys. But next week, because yesterday kind of became a clusterfuck, and I'm fixing that today. Next week's episode, I'm going to talk about X-Men 97. I'm going to talk about the new series on Disney Plus, and I'm going to be showing off some X-Men 97 figures that I've added to my collection that I'm still debating if whether or not I want to open them, but I'll make that decision by the time I hit record next week and get ready to do the show. But this week, Spider-Man, Marvel Legends, next week, X-Men 97. It's going to be a dope month. But, like I said, fantasizing about Spider-Man movies, a live-action Spider-Man movie, was something like I thought about a lot. You know what I mean? But at the same time, with disappointments like Masters of the Universe, kind of lost hope on wanting a Spider-Man movie. But then like Ninja Turtles came out, and I'm like, oh man, what if they made a Spider-Man movie? Even though the only live-action Spider-Man that they had there was a Japanese Super Sentai series in the 70s, and there was a live-action CBS series that wound up getting canceled. I think it was in like I honestly got it. You know what? Let me check since I got my phone right here. I think it was a 1978 thing, or it could have been a 1980s thing. It either came out before I was born or shortly after I was born. Hold on, Spider-Man, CBS. Okay, 1977. The Amazing Spider-Man lasted 2 seasons, and it was live-action Spider-Man, but he had a belt, and it was corny as fuck. But I remember this live-action Spider-Man series being available at Blockbuster Video in a VHS tape, where it was like 2 or 3 episodes that was put together that was supposed to kind of be edited together for a movie. And I just remember it had like this real shitty like disco background theme music that always played whenever Spider-Man was like, you know what I mean, or something like that, whenever he was climbing up the walls and shit. It was fucking hilarious. And but that was the only live action Spider-Man we had, you know. So flash forward through the rest of the 90s to where it's 2000, 2001, and you know, for everybody who had internet at that point in time was hearing about the Sony Spider-Man movie that was in development, and and when the cast was getting revealed, like Willem Dafoe is going to be the Green Goblin, Kirsten Dunst is going to be Mary Jane, Tobey Maguire is going to be Peter Parker. Now it's weird to me because Tobey Maguire got announced to be Spider-Man, and at the time, the only thing I knew Tobey Maguire from was the movie Pleasantville. It was a movie him and Reese Witherspoon was in back in the 90s, where they basically played a brother and sister that got sucked into, like, I think their TV, but they got sucked into, like, this TV show where it was set back in the 50s, and it was all black and white and shit, and I remember it being, like, one of those wholesome, feel-good movies and whatnot, and honestly, I remember seeing trailers for that movie, and that movie, even when I saw it on, like, HBO and shit, that's the movie that made, that, like, sometimes you hear the name of an actor or like a musician, you know what I mean? And you hear it once and you never forget it. That person's name's always in your head. Pleasantville was that movie that did it for me with Tobey Maguire and Reese Witherspoon. Reese Witherspoon. I keep saying wreath like Christmas wreath. But Tobey Maguire got announced for Spider-Man, and I remember the movie hit theaters. And it's funny because at that period in time, when it was like May of 2002, that Spider-Man movie hit theaters, and like January of 2002 was literally the month I met my friend Pete, Double O Drunk, who's the infamous "Cheers, Pete" at the end of the episode I shout out. I met Pete in January, so like that winter of 2002, like every day was hanging out with like Pete. January, February, March, April, and then May happened and Spider-Man hit theaters, and I remember that was at the time when the live-action Scooby-Doo movie was hitting theaters, and my daughter just turned a year that month I met Pete, and it was a really cool time for me because, like, in early 2002, I was unemployed. I was between jobs, and by the time the Spider-Man movie hit theaters, I was in the process of getting a job that I would eventually not only go on to hold for 8.5 years, but this would be a job I was working and holding down when Amber came into my life, when I got married, when I bought my house. I was working at this job. I racked a pension by the time I was 30 working at this job, and when Spider-Man first came out on DVD and I was able to buy the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie and finally own this live-action Spider-Man movie, it was absolutely sick. I thought he absolutely nailed it. It was an enjoyable movie. My only complaint about the first Spider-Man movie, I was never, and I'm still not a fan, even though they tweaked it and made it look somewhat mostly acceptable. I was never a fan of the Green Goblin costume in the first Spider-Man movie. Absolutely hated it. The fact that it was like a flight suit, you know what I mean? Instead of just like him taking his goblin serum and having it affect him and like turning his skin green. That's what I was kind of hoping they would do. You know what I mean? Because he never was rocking the purple hood. He was never rocking the purple outfit. He never had his purple bag with his pumpkin bombs. And, he didn't really look much of a Green Goblin to me. He just looked like some asshole in a spacesuit. And I really wasn't feeling his performance at the time. And even looking back on it, his performance is kind of over the top and campy. But then again, so is Tobey Maguire's basic his entire performance as Spider-Man. Like, he's too much of the nerd in the first movie. He's like too much of a crybaby in the second movie. and he's like even more of a crybaby turned jerk in the third movie. But overall, like, for a long time, Tobey Maguire was the only live-action Spider-Man that we had, and the only live-action Spider-Man that we've known. I mean, at the same time Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie first hit theaters, we already got an X-Men movie. You know what I mean? So Hugh Jackman has been Wolverine longer than Tobey Maguire has been Spider-Man. And, you know, with Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie set the tone for the live-action Spider-Man movies, especially with Sam Raimi directing it. Spider-Man 2 was absolutely great because Spider-Man 2 was at a time when Spider-Man 2 was in development at a time where I was working that amazing insurance job downtown, and I would wind up meeting somebody who would become a friend of mine working at a pizza place, and he and I would have little chit-chat conversations as I was getting my work lunch and he was working and, you know, being a cool person. And his name is Brian, and he and I made a connection over nerdy shit. So I remember when I would go there to get lunch, he would like pull out his phone and be like, "Hey, look what I saw today." You know what I mean? And eventually we would like hang out and shit, and eventually, you know, be friends and whatnot. He was actually at my wedding, and I don't know. I think I started a podcast with him. I don't know. I could be mistaken. But anyway, my buddy and I were talking and getting super excited about the second Spider-Man movie, and I'll never forget him like just marking the fuck out over how detailed Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus tentacle arms were in Spider-Man 2. And I remember when I finally got to see Spider-Man 2, it was like, oh my god, what an awesome movie, you know? While I wasn't the biggest fan of Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin in the first movie, I absolutely loved Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. You know, the special effects and the CG at the time that they used for Doc Ock, in addition to having like practical effects and like real octopus tentacle arms, as I keep doing the Doc Ock with my arms, you know, absolutely sick. You know, it's still such a fun movie to watch. But you know, I do gotta say, like, I am totally super impressed with this Doc Ock figure. Like, this guy cost me $50, and pricey, yeah. I mean, the reality is he's basically a deluxe figure. He costs twice as much as a normal Marvel Legends figure. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was $26. So with him being $50, it's really not that bad because, yeah, you're getting the 6-inch Alfred Molina Doc Ock, but you're really paying for the tentacles. And like I said on the Facebook live video yesterday, the one thing I can say about this figure is the quality of these Doc Ock tentacle arms are so well developed. Like, this is really like hard. I don't want to say difficult to move, but you gotta use your muscles when you're trying to move this and get it posed correctly. But there's so many different ways to pose these, configure it to get it to your liking. But for me personally, I like the fact that you can have them stand up on the bottom two octopus arms, the tentacles, whatever the fuck you want to call them. So not only does it take him like 3 to 4 inches off the ground, but now it's basically turning him into like an 8-inch action figure, and then you got the extra heights on the claws. So like you're basically turning a 6-inch figure into a 12-inch monster. That's what she said. And it's just an amazing figure. And I can say right now, I'm super geeked out because if you're watching this right now, you should go back and watch the original attempt at this video yesterday when I went live, because I could not get this Doc Ock to stand up for the life of me. He kept falling over. I couldn't get him to balance right, but as he fell over there. But like I said, I mean, eventually you get him tweaked right and he'll stand up. You just have to get it set up to where he's going to balance properly and all the weight's properly distributed, and you don't have to worry about him toppling over. Or if you get it to a point to where you want to put him on a shelf, you could even put his box behind him and, in a sense, kind of get it to where he's kind of leaning back on it, so where you don't have to worry about him falling forward. But either way, if you put stuff in front of him, it shouldn't be too big of a deal. But like I said, he's just an absolutely sick figure. I gotta say, I did say yesterday, I never had a Doc Ock figure as a kid. You know, even when Toy Biz had like the Doc Ock from the cartoon, I never got a chance to jump on those. You know, I know kids that were, you know, younger than me at the time growing up who had Spider-Man toys, but like, you know, theirs were always usually broken and shit, and it's like, man, you kids are fucking can't even take care of your stuff. Like your mom and dad's buy you toys. You think you'd at least try to take care of something, but then again, they're children. They don't really know what they have or what they're playing with until it's years later. They no longer have it. They're an adult, and they're like, oh my god, it's worth how much money if I would have just held on to that fucking thing? Absolutely crazy. But I'm going to take another break, and when I get back, we're going to crack open this Willem Dafoe Green Goblin, and I'm going to open up the Tom Holland Spider-Man. Alright, we're back. Now, I'm going to clear my table so I have some room, because I don't want this Doc Ock falling over again. It was a pain in the ass yesterday trying to get him to stand up. He just wasn't having it. And I'm not sure. I'm debating it as I'm going to open these, whether or not I'm going to open up the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and just call it my No Way Home Spider-Mans, but I may do him for a Patreon video. So don't hold it against me if I don't open up the the Andrew fucking Garfield Spider-Man. I don't even know which one I'm talking about. But Tom Holland Spider-Man, very glad I got him. I actually wound up, I'm trying to think which one I found in stores. Or did I find any of them in stores? I think Tom Holland I found in a store. Andrew Garfield I had to order from Target. And Tobey Maguire I got from Big Bad Toy Store. So actually, I think this Tom Holland Spider-Man I actually got lucky and found in Target. But yeah, it's great, because like I was saying on the Facebook reel yesterday, last year, Marvel Legends put out the Amazing Fantasy number 15 Spider-Man, and it was a re-release of the Spider-Man figure that already came out, because like these Spider-Man figures are in plastic bubbles on a card, looking like normal action figure packaging. Marvel, for some reason last year, announced that they were ditching plastic and doing plasticless packaging. So they're putting the figures in these boxes with a picture on the front of it, which some collectors were pissed off about because they like being able to see what they bought through the plastic, so they know if the paint job and the deco was applied correctly. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you'll see an action figure and this one's face deco paint got slightly off and looks fucked up, and he kind of looks like a mongoloid, and you really don't want to buy that figure, you'll save that. You'll save that for the sucker that has to buy it on clearance when it's the only one left. So, I don't really care. The packaging really doesn't affect me much, as long as I know I'm getting a decent version of the figure that I'm intending to buy. But I kind of think this type of packaging works. But the original release of the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man that I opened for Patreon subscribers, that was back in the fall when my original laptop was finally at its breaking point where it was not letting me edit whatsoever. So in order to do that video for Patreon subscribers, I had to split it into like 4 10-minute videos and put it up on the Patreon. But that Spider-Man was originally released last year in one of these type of boxes, but they put it out on a white card along with a Moon Knight figure that hit retail. I don't know what other figures are going to be coming out on those white cards for Marvel Legends, but we'll probably know more in the year. But basically, my overall intent was I wanted to get the 3 live-action Spider-Mans. I wanted to get my Tom Holland, I wanted to get my Tobey Maguire, and I wanted to get my Andrew Garfield. And I finally was able to track them down. And trying to see here if I want to... I'm not going to worry about switching his hands out right now. And honestly, they come with the actors' faces in the packaging, but they also come with their Spider-Man masks. But honestly, I bought these for the actor likenesses. I didn't buy these to look like Spider-Man with his mask on. I have the classic Spider-Man for that. But overall, I mean, Tom Holland Spider-Man from Homecoming, Far From Home, No Way Home. Honestly, in my opinion, the best Spider-Man we've ever had. I absolutely love Tom Holland Spider-Man because it's like when Julia was born, Julia's Spider-Man is Tobey Maguire. When my son Owen was born and my daughter Natalia was born, and they were at a point to where they were able to watch movies with Dad and like understand things, I will say Andrew Garfield was my first father and son Spider-Man, because that's all I had was the Andrew Garfield. Well, I mean, I had Tobey Maguire, but when it came to me introducing my son to like the most current Spider-Man movies that we're getting, it was Andrew Garfield. And that we had to accept because he wasn't allowed at the time to be part of the MCU, which was still growing. So by the time Tom Holland got cast to be Spider-Man, when it was officially time for Spider-Man to get introduced to the MCU, this was my MCU Spider-Man to enjoy with my son, because we kind of got gypped on Andrew Garfield not getting a third Spider-Man movie. And, it really wasn't fair to Andrew Garfield. He never got a chance to finish his Spider-Man trilogy. And here we are with our new Spider-Man, who's not only gotten his trilogy, but he also has appeared in other movies. And like the other Spider-Man figures, this Tom Holland has his 30 points of articulation. Actually, I think he may have 32 points of articulation, and I'll get to that in a moment. But he's got the double elbows, he's got the double knees, his ankles rotate and move up and down. His thigh twists so you can not bend his leg, but move the position of his leg for when he's standing and whatnot. He's got the butterfly shoulders and pecs, so we can go in front and back. He's got the double elbows. He's got the alternate hands, so he's got the web grabbing hands and he's got his web shooting hands. So everything you would expect in a Spider-Man figure. Like he's got his And this Tom Holland Spider-Man is wearing his final suit, which was the Spider-Man suit he was wearing at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, after everybody forgot that Peter Parker was Spider-Man. And I haven't mentioned it at all, but right here I also have the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Miles Morales figure, and I brought an accessory with me today. I actually grabbed this at Target. It's an action figure stand that's made by NECA. Pretty affordable. I think it was only like $10 for this, but it's a nice little action figure stand. Like for Miles, I could have him up in the air making a Spider-Man pose and he's going to shoot some webs and shit. Not the greatest stand, but it does the job. I mean, it's got the moving arms, so you could have it however you want for the figures you're posing and shit. So, you know, I'm still kind of new to the action figure stands. I only have a couple of them for certain figures, but I definitely wanted to get one for my Spider-Man figures. But moving on to the main event. And speaking of main event, that WrestleMania 40 main event Sunday night, Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, absolutely sick, full of surprises, and everything about night 2 of WrestleMania blew everybody's complaints about night 1 out the window, because night 1 of WrestleMania in a lot of people's minds absolutely sucked, but they made up for it with night 2, as we take our Willem Dafoe Green Goblin out of his packaging, and already just in the plastic he looks fucking sick. I'm very eager to open up this figure. I just want to be careful with pulling out his accessories. For starters, we have the Goblin glider. Figure it out. Comes with a glider. He comes with a display stand for the glider, which honestly is super dope. Does it just rest on it? Does it just balance on it? Or is it supposed to pop in? Oh no, it's supposed to pop in. As I think so. Right? Yeah. I don't know. I've never. Okay, I don't like that. Alright, I don't know if it's supposed to pop in or if it's just supposed to rest on it. I guess we'll figure that out when we get there. But, alright. What do we got here? Oh. These are for his feet to go in the glider. Got a little pumpkin bomb. He's got his Green Goblin helmet. And I will say, I do like how the Marvel Legends figures just pop right out of these plastic bubbles. You don't really, it's not like Masters of the Universe or the WWE Mattel figures where I gotta unclip the, I gotta snip the little plastic ties holding them down. See, I'm not going to lie, that's my biggest fear every time I open a new figure. It's just making sure the joints are right and everything moves like it's supposed to and nothing breaks as I'm trying to, I don't want to say assemble, but move it for the first time. But now, this Willem Dafoe Green Goblin looks absolutely sick. Now, does he come with extra hands? Did I not see extra hands? Alright, he doesn't look like he comes with extra hands at all, which is good because he's got this like grabbing hand. Oh, that's awesome. The frickin' pumpkin bomb literally snaps right into his hand, and it doesn't look like you have to worry about him dropping it. But Yeah, and he's got the frickin', I don't want to say his Wolverine claws, but he's got his blade, his hand blades. He's got his hood. Now he does come with the Goblin helmet, so that does pop off, and you can swap out the heads. But honestly, like I said, my biggest complaint with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin was I didn't like him with the Goblin mask on. I hated the look. Like even right now, looking at it, I'm not the biggest fan of that Goblin head. The face isn't bad, but I don't know. I kind of wish he had the purple head. I kind of wish the Green Goblin looked more movie accurate. But real quick, let me see what the hell goes on with this. So what do we do here? Okay. So it looks like he has these little sandals. He's got these like little Crocs that pop on his feet. And once you put his Crocs on, he is ready to rock, son. And all right, we'll get that. Hold on. I'm trying to peg the Green Goblin. Give me a moment. All right. So now that we have him standing up, all right. All right, this is going to be a little interesting. Because I'm not sure exactly how to pose him right to get him on the glider comfortably. I mean, you'd think he's got to be like he's sitting on an invisible toilet. I will say that's seems to be my only complaint thus far with this figure. I kind of think it's a pain in the ass to get him on the glider. Oh, okay. Now, apparently the little sections where his feet pop in, you can move those. They're on little hinges. So I don't know how this is going to go, but... Now, mind you, yesterday, trying to get the friggin' Doc Ock balanced was a pain in the ass. So I'm not sure. I'm going to have to double check it. I don't want to fuck around with it on camera because, like I said, I don't want something to break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fuck around with this some more and see if this has to pop in. Because it's weird. It feels like it should pop in. But at the same time, I don't want to say it's flimsy plastic, but it's kind of flimsy plastic. Yeah, it's like he doesn't even want to fucking balance on it. Like he should. Alright, well, tell you what, I'm going to fuck around with that off camera. But for the most part, there's the Willem Dafoe Green Goblin on his Goblin glider. I will say, it's not the worst. I don't think it's the best, but my opinion will change, of course, once I get him fitted better on this, because he looks absolutely sick standing on it. But that's the thing. Even if it's not on the stand, it doesn't look like it fits or rests comfortably at all. And even have him leaning against the box, it's still not going to balance right because these blades are on hinges. So I'm going to fuck around with this more and see if I can get it to sit properly. And I will take pictures of that shit and put it on the socials. And I might do a Facebook reel being like, hey y'all, I finally got this shit. But yeah, it definitely looks like I'm going to be opening up Andrew Garfield for Patreon subscribers. So if you want to watch me open up the Andrew Garfield, head on over to the Patreon. It's seriously $3 a month to subscribe. I've spent so much over the past year building a library of bonus content that's available on there for y'all. I brought back the Original Geeks podcast, and you put your name in the credits. It's my way of saying thank you, Nuckdap, for supporting the brand and fucking with me for 30 days. But if you really are on that fence about it, go check it out anyway. Free for 7 days on me. You get a week, geek. And if I'm worth it, throw me that $3. And until next time, cheers, Pete!
Fuck Ian Daddy Bones. Fuck Twin Widow, whatever the hell it is. No one gives a shit about you, Ian. Everyone hates you. Fuck off.
Oh my god, I'm so excited. Having a banger and you're all invited. Share with friends and I'll see you later. Bring everyone, invite my haters. Throw your hands in the fucking air. Let's push a cripple down a flight of stairs. Got new shit right for your ears. My Hadouken is downright fierce. Rock out with my cock out. Jump around, I got your shout outs. I'm Daddy Bones, no need to panic. Talking riddles like a schizophrenic. 24/7, I got the party. Roofie roos and whoop-de-doos. Retarded fools with attitudes, bro. Everything's mixed with Bacardi. Glow stick black like tons of bubbles. Titties on bitches, nothing but trouble. Got my pills, ain't no quitter. Pop that shit, here comes my glitter. Not a dancer, I got no skills. Bobbing my head and standing still. Tons of bitches, ravers, goths. Down to fucking get your salad tossed. It's the greatest thing that you ever saw. Put your hands in the air for fire. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Having a bang and you're all invited. Dickheads posing, muscles flexing, trains dressed like your favorite X-Men. If there's one thing that drives me crazy, you give high fives but you fucking hate me. Might have rabies, might have herpes. Breastfeed me and you'll have to burp me. I'll be up on stage, throwing out beads, grabbing my dick and spraying my seed all over your face. That's fucking rude. Raise it up and show your boobs. Dance around and go friggin' nuts. Just b-boy stance and light your blunts. Don't be a cunt. Tuck your chain, don't start no shit. Use your brain, it's all a game. Let's play some Yahtzee. Eat Tide Pods and punch a Nazi. Not a dancer, I got no skills. Bobbing my head and standing still. Tons of bitches, ravers, goths. Down the fuck and get your salad tossed. It's the greatest thing that you ever saw. Put your hands in the air for fire. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Having a bang and you're all invited.
Alright, check it out real quick if you're watching this. There he is. Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin. I got him on his stand. And I did have to pop that ball on the stand firmly. I had to really shove that in there to get that to pop. That was a pain in the ass. If they were going to do that, I really wish they would have used a harder plastic, not that bendy Rubbermaid recycling bin type plastic, because that shit's going to bend, turn white, and kind of be forever ruined for anybody that buys this figure. I think that's my only complaint. I think they could have done a better job with the stand, especially if you're going to charge $50 for it, which, again, was a choice. Nobody forced me to buy the figure. I still think it's pretty fucking dope. But, yeah, Willem Dafoe, Green Goblin. I got the Alfred Molina, Doc Ock standing right behind him. They look fucking sick. Got Miles Morales on his stand. He's flying through the sky. Got Tom Holland standing back there holding his mask. And we got Tobey Maguire making sure everything's okay. But thank you guys, everybody, for your support watching this. I'll see you next week.